The dingo is federally protected in Australia and legally required to be shot on sight at the same time. That's just how it works in Australia, and it tells you everything about how complicated the animal's story is. The dingoes were introduced somewhere between 3,500 years and 800 years ago, 8,000 years ago. They're believed to be domesticated dogs left behind by the seafarers from Southeast Asia. They shared genetic markers with Southeast Asian pets. They went feral. Australia shaped them over thousands of years, and now the country considers them native wildlife. There's a big window on that arrival date, but nobody was taking notes. Nobody said, hey, a ship came through here at this particular time. When dingoes showed up around 3,500 years ago, they were faster, more agile, and worked in packs better than the thylacine, the animal we call the Tasmanian tiger. The thylacine wasn't actually a tiger, it was a striped marsupial that filled the role of the top predator across Australia. By the time the Europeans were making records, the thylacine was already gone from the mainland, and they didn't even know it had ever been there. They only knew it from Tasmania, which is how it got the name Tasmanian tiger. The thylacines survived in Tasmania along with the Tasmanian devil because the dingoes just never made it across the water. Dingoes don't really bark. They howl and whine to communicate across long distances, more like coyotes or wolves or Siberian huskies than your typical house dog. Whether barking was bred out of them before they went feral, or whether Australia's open landscape just made howling more useful, that's still open to question. Inside a dingo pack, only the alpha pair gets to reproduce. If another female becomes pregnant, the alpha female will destroy the pups. The rest of the pack eventually drifts off to start their own groups when they're ready to have families of their own. It keeps the population growth tight, even in good years. To protect the sheep, Australia built a fence 3,488 miles long, longer than the Great Wall of China. That fence accidentally reveals that the dingoes keep the grass greener on their side. The dingoes hunt the animals that graze non-stop, which keeps the vegetation from being wiped out. On the non-dingo side, the land is overgrazed and stripped down, and the difference is visible from space. It's the same story as when wolves were reintroduced to Yellowstone, where even the rivers ran better because the vegetation stopped clogging them up. Apex predators keep the browsers in check, and when they're removed, the whole system starts to unravel. Pure dingoes are getting harder to find because they interbreed freely with domestic dogs, and the genetic markers in dingo packs are slowly becoming more domesticated again. After thousands of years of running wild, the domestic dog DNA they started with is finding its way back in. There's a comparison of this to the Texas longhorn cattle, the descendants of the animals abandoned by the Spanish that went feral long enough to develop their own traits, including the distinctive horn shape shaped by the pressure of the West Texas plains. The dingo and the longhorn are basically the same story told on different continents. They've been feral long enough and shaped by the land long enough that at some point the question stops being whether something is invasive and starts being something that's a little more difficult to explain.